Do you feel it? Don't you? That gnawing unease that creeps in when you least expect it, the relentless mental chatter that feels like an endless loop of worry, the pervasive fear that something dreadful is just around the corner, even when logic dictates otherwise. And perhaps the most isolating part, the feeling that you're battling this invisible force alone, that those around you simply can't grasp the inner turmoil. You paste on a smile, reassure others that everything's fine, but inside, a silent scream echoes, unheard, unacknowledged. Now, pause and consider this. What if the anxiety that defines so much of your daily experience isn't the core issue, but rather a messenger? What if it's a symptom, a flare-up signaling a much deeper truth struggling to surface from the depths of your being? Carl Jung, a towering figure in the landscape of depth psychology, posited that anxiety isn't a flaw, a malfunction, or merely a chemical imbalance. He viewed it as a summons from the soul, an urgent signal that aspects of yourself have been long ignored, suppressed, or outright denied, and are now clamoring for recognition with unrestrained force. Have you ever pondered the seemingly irrational nature of your anxiety, its ability to strike without any discernible trigger? Have you questioned why conventional coping mechanisms, thought control, meditation, deep breathing, simplistic mantras of positivity, offer only fleeting relief, leaving you with the nagging sense of being pursued by an unseen presence? Perhaps the reason lies in your attempt to silence the messenger without heeding the message it carries. Jung famously stated that neurosis is invariably a substitute for legitimate suffering. In essence, anxiety emerges when we evade facing something essential, a buried wound, a difficult truth, a facet of ourselves banished to the recesses of the mind, in the naive hope that we'd never have to confront it again. But the psyche operates with its own agenda. Anxiety is the alarm bell, the psychic red flag. Let me be clear, this isn't a superficial self-help prescription. I'm not here to offer empty platitudes about everything turning out all right, because it might not if you persist in disregarding the whispers of your soul. Consider this a mirror, reflecting back the potential for profound self-discovery. If you dare to gaze into it until the end, you might unearth a truth that has remained hidden, the genuine meaning behind your anxiety, and how it can metamorphose from a perceived enemy into a trusted guide. The choice is yours. Will you continue to flee from the shadows, or will you summon the courage to meet them face to face? The anxiety you experience isn't a random occurrence. It doesn't materialize from thin air, and it's certainly not just a matter of chemical misfiring, as conventional wisdom often suggests. According to Jung, psychological symptoms are symbolic expressions of profound processes unfolding within the psyche. Anxiety, in particular, signifies an internal conflict, a war raging within the self. This isn't a conscious battle, but a subterranean archetypal clash between the forces that shape your true self and the facade you present to the world. Jung believed that within each human being reside universal archetypes, primordial images that populate the collective unconscious. They are not merely figures from mythology or aesthetically pleasing symbols. They are potent forces that shape our thoughts, emotions, decisions, and deepest fears. When these archetypes collide, you experience the reverberations. When you suppress one of them, when you reject the shadow, the self, or the call of the inner hero, your psyche doesn't remain passive. It protests, and anxiety is often the most prominent form of that protest. Anxiety isn't rooted in excessive thinking. It stems from disconnection. When the ego, the part of you that identifies with the social mask, with routine, with control, loses contact with the unconscious, a fissure forms within. You experience inexplicable insecurity. You feel an unfounded fear of the future, even when circumstances are relatively stable. You sense an emptiness that eludes fulfillment, regardless of achievements, relationships, or distractions. Why does this occur? Because the unconscious is striving to restore equilibrium. It's attempting to capture your attention. When you prioritize external expectations, maintaining a carefully curated image, adhering to a script you didn't author, you're effectively denying your soul. This rejection initially manifests as discomfort, then as anxiety, and if persistently ignored, as eventual breakdown. Jung didn't perceive anxiety as a foe. He saw it as a symbolic messenger, carrying a vital call for individuation, the process of becoming your authentic self. To embark on this journey, you must first acknowledge that anxiety carries a message, a metaphor, a symbol. Something within you is undergoing a process of death so that another part can be born. But the ego, clinging to its established identity, resists this transformation, leading to internal conflict. Do you feel as if you're losing control? Perhaps it's because you never truly possessed it, only the illusion of it. What anxiety seeks to reveal is the chasm between who you are and who you are projecting yourself to be. Until that chasm is addressed, the emptiness will continue to expand. But what exactly resides within that abyss? What is being denied, repressed, forgotten? In the following section, we will delve deeper, exploring the darkest corners of your psyche to understand the intricate relationship between anxiety and the shadow, and hopefully, by confronting it, you will grasp that your anxiety never intended to destroy you, but rather to awaken you. If this resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. From an early age, you were molded to conform, conditioned to be acceptable. You were taught that certain emotions were undesirable, that specific thoughts were shameful, that particular impulses needed to be suppressed. You learned to feign a smile when you yearned to scream, to exhibit kindness when consumed by anger, to project confidence when inwardly crumbling. Over time, you constructed a persona, a social mask, concealing anything that didn't align with it. But here's a truth rarely spoken. Everything you've suppressed remains alive. Jung termed this forgotten aspect of yourself the shadow. The shadow encompasses everything you disavow but are, everything you resist, feeling, but do feel. It's your fear disguised as anger, your anger masked as silence, your insecurity cloaked in control. When you strive to embody only what is deemed acceptable, you become enslaved to that shadow, which manifests in the only way it can, through anxiety. Anxiety, in this context, functions as an alarm triggered by the rejected elements of your being. It's the shadow knocking persistently on the door of your consciousness, demanding to be seen. The more you disregard it, the more insistent its demands become. You may experience palpitations, sweating, insomnia, obsessive thoughts, yet struggle to understand the underlying cause because you're fixated on the symptoms, not the root. That root lies buried in the unconscious, where the shadow resides, repressed, suffocated, yearning for recognition. Have you ever wondered why you experience disproportionate reactions? why you succumb to panic over trivial matters, why you sabotage yourself when everything seems to be progressing smoothly. These aren't signs of bad luck or personal weakness. They are manifestations of the shadow's attempt to restore psychic balance. It's asserting, "You can no longer pretend I don't exist." And here's the painful truth. Society often reinforces your disconnection from the shadow. It rewards productivity, outward confidence, and the maintenance of appearances. But that facade comes at a significant price. The cost of your authenticity, your emotional well-being, your inner peace. Jung wisely observed that enlightenment isn't achieved by conjuring images of light, but by bringing darkness into conscious awareness. The genuine remedy for anxiety lies not in eradicating the symptoms, but in confronting the underlying truth they reveal. That truth can be unsettling. You've constructed an identity based on only half of your soul, and now the other half is demanding its due. But how do you engage with a part of yourself that you fear? How do you engage in dialogue with the shadow without being consumed by it? The answer lies within the body, because the shadow often expresses itself as sensation before it manifests as thought, anxiety, tension, physical pain. Your body is bearing the brunt of the conflict your mind is attempting to deny. In the next section, we will explore why anxiety isn't confined to your mind, but is also embodied, transforming your physical form into the battleground between who you are and who you are trying to be. Your anxiety doesn't merely reside in your mind, it takes up residence within your body, in the contracted muscles that have become so familiar you barely notice them, in the stomach that clenches inexplicably, in the chest that burns as if on the verge of explosion, in the lump in your throat that prevents you from voicing your truth. These symptoms aren't solely physical, they are psychic manifestations of the internal struggle between the ego's desire for control and the soul's yearning for liberation. Jung believed that the body serves as a mirror reflecting the unconscious. When repressed content fails to find a symbolic outlet through dreams, art, writing, or inner dialogue, it manifests in a literal, raw, somatic form. Anxiety represents one of the most intense expressions of this phenomenon, a breakdown in the soul's language that, having been ignored for too long, erupts into a physical scream. How often have you felt your body react as if threatened, even when your rational mind recognizes the absence of danger? This is the unconscious attempting to seize control because your conscious mind is no longer receptive. The nervous system enters a state of heightened alert, as if stalked by a predator. But the predator isn't external, it's internal, the repressed content of your psyche, which has become so overwhelming that it now manifests as physical urgency. This explains why superficial techniques often prove ineffective. Deep breathing, cold showers, and attempts at positive thinking may offer temporary relief, but they fail to address the underlying issue. The problem isn't a broken body, but a severed connection between body and soul. Anxiety is the body attempting to compensate for a silenced soul. Jung understood that the body is deeply symbolic, serving as the stage for the psyche's most profound dramas. An anxious body is a body burdened by secrets, emotions that have never been expressed, traumas that have never been named, needs that have never been acknowledged. Each symptom represents a desperate attempt by the unconscious to bring to light what requires integration. You experience exhaustion, not only due to the demands of your daily routine, but because your soul is waging a subterranean war, and that war exacts a toll. Chronic tension, insomnia, diffuse pain, a persistent sense of unease. Your body is pleading for reconnection, for attentive listening, for authentic expression. But how do you transform this body into an ally, rather than viewing it as an adversary? How do you shift from a combat-oriented approach, focusing on controlling symptoms, to one of receptive listening and integration? In the next section, we will explore the true antidote to this anguish, the journey of individuation, a profound path proposed by Jung where anxiety ceases to be a burden and becomes a compass. You are not here merely to survive. You are here to become who you are truly meant to be. But the challenge lies in the fact that no one explicitly teaches you how to achieve this. From an early age, you are molded to fit into predefined patterns, societal expectations, and established norms. You learn to adapt, to seek acceptance, to remain silent, to avoid conflict, to adhere to rules whose origins you may not even know. In this process, you often lose touch with your authentic self, losing sight of your inner center. It is precisely within this gap that anxiety arises, in the space between your authentic self and the manufactured self created to please others. Carl Jung termed the path back to this authentic self the journey of individuation. This journey has nothing to do with selfishness or superficial self-assertion. Individuation is a deep, sometimes challenging process of reconnecting with everything you have disowned within yourself. It represents the reclamation of your wholeness, and it is this reclamation that begins to dissolve anxiety, not as a symptom to be suppressed, but as an alert that has finally been heard. To individuate is to accept that there are aspects of yourself that have been forgotten, wounded, silenced, and that they are yearning to return. It involves confronting the shadow, recognizing the masks of the persona, and understanding the archetypes that shape your most intimate decisions. It requires shifting from the question, "How should I be?" to the far more profound question, "Who am I really?" This path is not without its difficulties. It is a descent, a confrontation with old fears, painful truths, and unresolved choices. It entails stripping away the idealized image you have constructed and facing the fragmented being that remains. Anxiety, in this context, is not the enemy, but the guide, pointing to the areas where you are still living inauthentically, where you are still pretending, where you are still afraid to embrace your true self. Jung believed that healing occurs when the individual becomes who they are meant to be. This necessitates relinquishing the desire to please, to control, to meet external expectations. It means making peace with your history, with your traumas, with both your light and your darkness, integrating rather than excluding. As you embark on this journey, something profound happens. Anxiety begins to dissipate, not because you have conquered it, but because you have finally understood its message. It was not a problem, but a map, a call, a push from the soul, urging you to awaken, return home, and embrace wholeness. The question now becomes, how to translate this understanding into practical action? How do you disengage from autopilot and embark on this journey in a tangible way? How do you transform suffering into symbolic meaning? How do you communicate with the unconscious without being overwhelmed by it? In the following section, we will explore the tools that Jung prescribed for this reconnection: symbolic rituals, silence, dreams, and the power of solitude, often overlooked in today's fast-paced world. but potentially the keys to your inner freedom. You have been conditioned to seek quick fixes, a pill to induce sleep, a motivational podcast, a brief video offering 5 tips to control anxiety. However, here's a truth that may be difficult to accept. There is no instantaneous cure for suffering that has taken years to develop. Instead, there is a process, and that process begins when you quiet your mind, listen to your inner voice, and accept the invitation to delve into the invisible realms. Jung did not view the human being as a machine in need of repair, but as a fragmented soul in need of integration. For this, 3 practices are indispensable: silence, symbolism, and solitude. In our noisy, overstimulated world, silence has become a precious commodity. Yet, for Jung, silence was the gateway to dialogue with the unconscious. While you distract yourself with external stimuli, notifications, obligations, the opinions of others, the most vital voice of all remains muted. Your own. Silence isn't emptiness. It's a portal, a space where repressed content can emerge, where symbols can take shape, and where dreams can regain their significance. Silence is the language of the soul, and it is within this silent space that symbolism comes into play. Jung asserted that the unconscious communicates through symbols, images imbued with profound meanings, often defying rational understanding. Have you ever had a disturbing dream that left you wondering about its significance? Have you ever felt an inexplicable connection to a song, an image, or a seemingly insignificant memory? These are symbols, and they don't appear randomly. They are keys, fragments of your soul attempting to communicate. I'm here. Acknowledge me. Interpreting these symbols is an act of psychic alchemy, requiring you to see beneath the surface. A dream of falling may signify a fear of losing control. A persistent feeling of carrying a heavy burden on your shoulders may symbolize responsibilities that aren't yours to bear. Anxiety itself is a symbol, a sign of a disconnect between how you are living and who you are. None of this can be accessed without solitude. Solitude is not the same as isolation. Isolation is an escape, while solitude is a deliberate act of presence, a sacred space where you can cease performing and begin listening. Jung viewed solitude as a necessary ritual for transformation, a state where the ego's illusion of control fades and the self begins to emerge, where dreams are unveiled, symbols are organized, and internal chaos begins to resolve into meaning. Silence, symbolism, and solitude. These are the tools of the soul's alchemist. To break free from the cycle of anxiety, you must cease seeking answers externally and begin listening to the wisdom that emerges from within. Understanding this intellectually is not enough. The hardest part is to act, to integrate, to live the change. This will require an uncomfortable choice: to continue pretending that everything is fine, or to take responsibility for your own transformation. The final section will focus on the ultimate goal of this journey: to look at your anxiety and understand that it was never the villain, but a teacher. The choice is yours. Will you continue to run, or will you face the truth? Stop deceiving yourself and view anxiety not as a burden, but as a mirror placed before you by life. The tightness in your chest, the silent anguish, the feeling of crumbling. These are not failures, but signs. Internal screams for reconnection, wholeness, and truth. You have spent your life trying to fit in, look good, and be enough, but anxiety wants you to be see, not look. It didn't come to destroy you, but emerged because something was already broken, needing to be rebuilt. That process hurts, requiring detachment from masks, roles, and old versions of yourself that you carried to survive. You didn't come here to survive, but to live deeply, becoming who you were before the world shaped you with fear. That's why Jung said, "What you resist persists. What you accept transforms." Anxiety is persistent because you resist your truth, shadow, and legitimate pain. The turning point is when you choose to accept the call of your soul instead of fleeing discomfort. You can seek distractions, numb yourself with temporary solutions, or you can stop, breathe deeply, and begin the real, symbolic, transformative process. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary, because your soul is tired of living half-heartedly. If this video touched something within you, write in the comments, "I choose to look within." It's a commitment, a pact with yourself. Share your experience. Your voice can be the mirror someone needs to awaken. If you've made it this far, don't stop. The next video is part of this journey, and transformation doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens when you keep going, even when everything in you wants to give up. So, click on the next video. The journey is just beginning. So, to bring it all together, remember this. Your anxiety isn't a monster lurking in the shadows, but a guide gently nudging you towards the light of your own authentic self. It's a powerful call from your soul, urging you to shed the masks, embrace your shadow, and step onto the path of individuation. That beautiful, sometimes messy, but ultimately fulfilling journey of becoming truly you. By integrating these insights and using these mental health tools, we can discover the road to cognitive clarity. I'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this. Does this perspective resonate with you? What's your biggest takeaway? Have you experienced anxiety as a messenger in your own life? Share your stories, your questions, or any insights you'd like to contribute in the comments below. Let's create a supportive space for conscious living and learn from each other. And if you found this exploration helpful and are ready to dive deeper into themes related to self-optimization, trauma recovery science, and even the intersection of AI philosophy of self, please hit that subscribe button. That way, you won't miss out on future videos where we'll continue to unravel the mysteries of the mind and explore practical strategies for living a more meaningful and fulfilling life. Let's journey together toward a brighter, more authentic you. See you in the next one.